This work is only possible because of the pioneering advocacy of our SAGE founding board members, such as the late Dennis Hostetler, who our award is named for. And of course, our honoree, Betty Neeley. I have a feeling there's going to be a few more rounds of applause, Betty, so just hang on. With a lifelong history of being a lesbian business owner, hiring lesbians who needed a job, to being a community volunteer for groups like Team St. Louis, the LGBT Community Center, and the LGBT History Project. Betty is truly an honoree that deserves to be honored here today. I reached out to some of Betty's closest friends, who I also knew, and I knew that these were folks that she turned to over the past 30 years. And I asked them to share just a few words about what inspired them about Betty. I should have known that those few words would be a book. So I really did a mashup of their tribute to Betty, and that's what I want to share with you today. And the folks that are highlighted in this mashup tribute to Betty are her friends Debbie, Alice, Diane, Karen, Sharon, Stephen, Carol, Tina, and Carrie. So Betty, this is what your friends have to say. Betty's been a true friend to me since 1983. She was the first gay person I met when I came to St. Louis, and she treated me as a person. She has an imprint on your life. Betty is an inspiration to everyone. She's an activist, advocate, historian, famous lesbritarian. I think that word was made up. And all-around great friend. Betty is the friend you want in your corner and on your side. She taught everyone that you don't have to be a traditional activist to be an activist. When I think of her being Betty, being her true self in the 1950s, I think about how many people she impacted. Many people in many walks of life that may have opened their eyes and minds just a little because she lived her life on her own, in her own way. In the 50s, there she was, breaking the mold and being brave. Betty's contribution to the community has been ongoing since she was young. She was never afraid to be just who she was. She let the generation before her guide her, and then she worked with her generation, so many of you right here, to lead the way for my generation and the generation to come. First, Betty says she's never not been out of the closet. She came out of her mother's womb saying, "I'm gay!" Second, she says she just lived her life. But we looked at Betty and said, "This is pioneering." And Betty says, "This is just being me." The St. Louis LGBT History Project would be void of so much without her leadership. One of my favorite taglines from Betty is, "Be the best Betty you can be." That line inspired me to do just that. I am the best I can be because of Betty. I feel like I am my authentic self. I still want to be like Betty when I grow up, or not. My mantra when faced with a challenge, WWBD. What would Betty do? She's a remarkable individual. She is not locked in the past or defined by it, because Betty is always planning for the next chapter. So stay tuned. Betty Neeley, thank you for being you. This community would not be what it is today without people like you, and we thank you for that. Kim and I thank you for your leadership, your friendship, and we love you, Betty.
At this time, we'd like to invite Betty to come say a few words as our 2018 Homeless W. Hostetler Save Advocate of the Year.
And Betty, just wanted to honor you, have the recognition you deserve, and understand that really none of us would be here without you living out and proud. Thank you. Thank you for all that. Take it from here.
Okay, well, put that someplace safe.
Okay. All right.
Well, what the hell can I say after that? I'm going to try. I want to thank everyone involved in giving me this honor. I am very proud and humbled on many levels. I also want to thank all the people who started SAGE for our community. Cheryl, the board, sponsors and contributors, and all the interns over the years. Thank you for the helping hands from the elders of our community. I also want to thank all of you who spent your Sunday afternoon to be present with us. I'm a firm believer that one person can change things, and everyone should try. And this is how I ended up here. I started a cleaning company. I needed help. I hired lesbians. Imagine that. We hung out at the Kitty Cat Club. So did Tommy Dunham, who was putting together a softball team to go to the gay games. This was 1987. This was all new to us. We, cleaning, etc., became their cheerleaders. So we were involved in drag shows, crazy bows, jello shots, you know the routine. Next thing you know, I'm driving Miss Toddy to Vancouver, Canada to the gay games, August 1990. She had a heart condition and could not fly. Rest in peace, Toddy. She was my shero. On this softball team and its associates were women who got things done. Chris Kleindies, Bart Gilchrist, Bart Getty, Betsy Miller, Drew Dockery, Deke Law, and many others.
Yeah.
These are the same women who won the gold in New York in 1994.
Yes.
Games. And I want to talk right here about my gold chip. Come here. There's not a person in this room that doesn't know without her, none of this crap happens. She has been beside me for 28 years. Thank you. Now, I wanted to be a woman who got things done. I am a member of Team St. Louis to this day. Next, I volunteered at the Center on Grand Avenue, where I met all kinds of people who got things done. I am hooked. Then the Center on Manchester, where I meet Cheryl and Sage and the lovely Elizabeth, who is our plate and fork in the table in Jeff City? Along with other people from Provo, and Stephen Brawley, Colin Murphy, and the LGBT History Project. Thank you, Stephen, for her story, and thank you as well, OLAP, Oral History for Lesbians Over 70, WashU Women's Studies and Oral Histories, and the Missouri History Museum. And all of the people who think the LGBT community and its elders and history are important. In wrapping this up, I bet you thought that wouldn't happen. I know there are elder LGBT people out there who needs SAGE's educating lunches and their dinners with social interaction. You know, the ones with no computer and no fancy phone. Those people. So I'm challenging my friends to help me find them. I will get the info and I'll print it up, and we will pitch in with calling or mailing to them and try and get them a ride if they need it. And speaking of rides, this winter when it gets dark, don't forget to pick me up.